How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 1.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here this fine, holy Monday. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, gearing up for the Good Friday show this Friday, noon to 3 Eastern live. Text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. You can get the live stream, the podcast, the show notes, so much more. Keep in mind, we don't podcast the Good Friday show per se. We can't podcast the music, so we'll figure out something for you for Good Friday on the podcast. You can listen 24/7 at the live stream. Text Eric to 33777 to get it in the show notes. Now, we got to begin with the TSA because the lines have gone down in Atlanta and elsewhere. By this weekend, the two worst lines in the country for TSA were Atlanta, Georgia, and Houston, Texas. Atlanta is the busiest airport on planet Earth, serving more passengers than even Beijing, China, or Shanghai. It is a very busy airport. The lines got very long, and TSA agents have been supplemented by ICE agents in line, and the ICE agents had started working the check-in so the TSA agents can focus on scanning.
Look, you get ICE agents checking people in, doing their work. I'm talking about how they're just standing around. They're actually ringing people up and everything. This is awesome. Doing their job. Thank you.
That is one guy had to edit out some of his profanity there. One guy at a TSA line. Several other people pointed this out. The TSA agents are getting paid as well. President Trump has signed an executive order declaring a travel emergency. That travel emergency is affecting interstate commerce, among other things, which gives the president leeway to do it. And so the president has started paying agents. Now, some of the agents are reporting they haven't gotten all of their back pay, but most of their back pay. They're starting to return to work. This morning in Atlanta, it is a Monday. It's not just any Monday. It is a Monday where a lot of kids are on spring break and traveling as of today. Should have big lines, did not have big lines because the TSA agents are showing back up. And so, surprise, surprise, surprise. Democrats are considering trying to get a federal judge to stop TSA agents from being paid. This is Jim Hines of Connecticut on Face the Nation.
What did Democrats get out of this standoff?
Yeah, well, Margaret, the standoff is not done yet, right? The president is illegally paying, apparently, TSA agents. You had the Senate, as you pointed out with Mr. Homan, pass a bipartisan bill unanimously in the United States Senate to say, look, let's fund everybody else and let's deal with this thorny issue about ICE. And then you had the Republican House say, hell no, we're not doing that.
And now they want to consider going into court and stopping the Republicans from being able to pay TSA agents. This kind of tells you the Democrats wish to use you and TSA agents as hostages in this government shutdown. They really don't want TSA agents paid because in getting TSA agents paid, then suddenly the crisis goes away. TMZ, for its part, is actually highlighting members of Congress who are out on vacation right now. So just so you understand here, the government, part of the government is still shut down. Bill Malugin at Fox News noted that the secretarial staff for ICE and Border Patrol and for Homeland Security, they're not getting paid. So the agents who are in charge of deportations are getting paychecks. The secretaries in the Home Office who help them are not. The janitors in the ICE buildings are not getting paid. So the people who deport get paid. The money for deportations, the plane rides, the housing, the food, all that gets paid. But the blue-collar staff for ICE, they're not getting paid. The secretaries aren't getting paid. The janitors aren't getting paid. The administrators aren't getting paid. The TSA agents technically aren't getting paid. The only exception there now is that the president, by signing his order, will allow the TSA agents to get their back pay and to proceed getting paid until the Democrats go to court and actually, well, get them stopped. I'm sure Judge Boasberg will order that we stop paying the TSA agents. Again, this is kind of wild, is it not, at this point? One, that all of Congress is gone right now. The Senate rejected the House plan for a clean continuing resolution. The House insists that everybody needs to come back. Mike Johnson wants everybody back in Washington, D.C., in order to figure out what to do with the shutdown. And the Democrats said, we're not coming back. So just to paint the broad picture here for you, the Democrats kept us shut down. The Republicans have found a way to pay the TSA agents. The Democrats are opposed to paying the TSA agents. And the Democrats now won't come back to Washington to solve the shutdown problems. Ladies and gentlemen, do you see what's playing out here? This isn't a bipartisan issue here. This is a flat-out, very partisan issue, the Democratic Party. If you're a agent of TSA listening to me right now somewhere on the planet, you need to understand the Republicans have advanced a plan to get you paid by declaring a travel emergency pursuant to the Interstate Commerce Clause, giving the president power to pay you, and the Democrats are planning on going into federal court to stop you from getting paid. That's the reality. Why do you all think that is? Why should the Democrats hold anybody hostage on this, particularly employees at TSA, who, by the way, their union tends to fund the Democrats. The TSA union funds the Democrats. The government workers who work for TSA, more often than not, they fund unions. I'm sorry, but this makes no sense at this point. It makes no sense to punish the working class who work for the TSA, who make less than $100,000 a year. It pays nothing. Will there be a political price for drivers? The Democrats actually think that the Republicans will lose on this. That's why they're continuing to do it. Just so you understand, the Democrats have the media on their side, and they have decided that the Republicans are going to get the political blame. And because the Republicans will get the political blame, there is no incentive for the Democrats to reopen the government because the Republicans get the blame. And then here comes Donald Trump pulling a fast one on the Democrats and deciding that if there's a travel emergency, by the way, using a law that the Democrats themselves have used repeatedly, that they themselves were the ones who orchestrated it. And now the Democrats are upset that the Republicans are using a law that the Democrats have championed in order to pay the TSA agents. Kind of wild. Now, while all this has happened, of course, we're having the No Kings rally. We had No Kings rallies in the country this weekend. Lots of people turning out. I was on C-SPAN yesterday morning. Spent an hour with C-SPAN callers. It's always a treat to be on with C-SPAN callers. Before church, my church is a block from my office. They asked if I could do it. Last minute thing, I was like, sure, I'll step in and I can still make it to church. So I did C-SPAN from 8 to 8:45 a.m. and then walked a block to church. And I got to tell you, there were a lot of people who were skeptical of the Iran engagement, but a lot of them were like, now that we're doing it, we got to keep doing it. One woman, though, I thought it was very funny, and I wish I had thought to get the audio. This woman was very upset with me. The host, before we got to callers, was asking me about the No Kings rallies. And I said, I'm going to church this morning, and a lot of progressives went to church yesterday. They went out into the streets marching. They went out into the streets protesting. For many progressives these days, protest has become religious worship for them. They don't go to church now. They go to protests. And a lot of them turned out. And I want to advise my Republican friends listening, and I'll repeat this for you here today. These are, by and large, organic movements. Do not lie to yourself and think that these are all paid operatives. That's not true. It's what you tell yourself so that you don't have to worry about the midterms. But you should be concerned about the midterms, that all these people are showing up in large numbers without pay. Some of them are getting paid. The coordinators are getting paid. The people who push the messaging are getting paid. But it's an organic outgrowth from that of all these people coming into cities. Here in my town, we had a No Kings protest. You know how it collapsed? The sheriff showed up by request of the organizers to explain why the local sheriff's office in Bibb County, Georgia, is cooperating with ICE. And the protesters didn't like it. And they wound up, the whole thing collapsed. They wouldn't let the sheriff speak, and so they shut down the thing. Hilarious. But these protesters showed up. So I'm on the C-SPAN call yesterday. A woman calls in from upstate Michigan. And she is furious with me. She says, Mr. Erickson, you said that the progressives showed up yesterday to protest at No Kings and that was church. And you growing to church today. Why do you think Republicans are going to church? I'm going to church. I'm preparing my Sunday school lesson. I'll be at Sunday school in an hour. I said, ma'am, it's not exactly what I said. The data, not Eric Erickson, the data shows that progressives increasingly are secular, and the progressives treat government as religion. They don't go to church, they go to protest. And they find their religious fulfillment in being with crowds at protests as opposed to finding it in church. Well, I'm going to church today. I go to a Presbyterian church. I bet it's a PCUSA church, lady. And so then the guy who hosts the show, John, says, ma'am, why did you go to the protest yesterday? Well, I went to feel fulfilled. I've gone to protests all my life, and now I take my children and grandchildren, and we go protest. And then she paused for a second. She says, as a matter of fact, it does feel rather religious to be there with all of these people in common purpose protesting the president. Like, that's my point, lady. Thank you for proving my point. You may go to church, but by the way, you go to a denomination that is dying because you all have rejected the inerrant word of God for contemporary politics in your religion. In fact, progressive theological churches, the PCUSA Church, the Episcopal Church, the United Church of Christ, you are far more likely in this day and age to hear politics from a sermon in a progressive theological church than you are a conservative church. Now, I know if you're a Democrat, you dispute this, but you can dispute it all you want. It's not Eric Erickson's opinion. It's the Pew data. It's the Ipsos data. It's the Study for Religion in America data that shows that theologically progressive churches have turned their pulpits over to the politics of the age, and conservative evangelical churches, you are far less likely to hear about contemporary politics. And it's not a coincidence that the conservative evangelical churches continue to grow in this country and the theologically progressive churches are all in decline, because you can go to the protest at No Kings rallies and protest on Saturday and get your religious fulfillment. Why do you need the lesbian in the pulpit to preach to you on Sunday when you've been out of the rally on Saturday getting your fulfillment? For conservative evangelicals, we don't want politics. In fact, I know multiple people who left their churches because they went to churches that were getting political. And after Charlie Kirk's assassination, that was the sermon on Sunday. And they're like, you know what? Our church has been taken by the people who preach politics. And so they left. If you go to a church where you hear a political speech in the pulpit on Sunday, you're not in a church. You're not actually in a church. You're at a political rally and you need to leave. Your soul will be corrupted. And that's what's happening in these theologically progressive churches. This woman was very mad at me yesterday for talking about this, and then she ultimately wound up agreeing with my point that, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do feel religious. I feel the spirit when I'm at the rallies. Now, the rallies, by the way, don't knock the No Kings rallies. I did look today, and turns out we don't have a king. I guess the rallies were successful. As many of you know, I do a very short 5-minute podcast in the afternoons called The 4 Things You Need to Know. And essentially, it is the 4 big news stories that you need to know before you get home from work. You can listen to it. It takes 5 minutes. It's just, here are the 4 things. Typically, it's all stuff that happens in the afternoon. After 3 hours of this show, everybody wants to break news while I'm off air. And I did it on Friday, recorded the 4 things you needed to know before you got home from work. By the way, if you text Eric to 33777, you can get it. I did it. I sent it out. It's ready to go. And then Tiger Woods flipped his Range Rover over, and that was the thing you needed to know. How is it that the man who is the best driver in America off the tee box is the worst driver in America on the road? Dude, you're like a bajillionaire now. Hire a full-time driver, please. For all that is good and holy, hire a driver and stop putting yourself in this situation. Give up some of your control. Focus on your golf game. We still want you, all of us on planet Earth, want one more Masters win from you. And I don't think we're ever going to see it, Tiger. Buddy, we love you and you need some help. I realize you've been going through surgeries and pain and you've had recovery issues and other issues, and we're all rooting for you. But, man, please go hire yourself a driver. Get the help that you need. Get your body well. You have inspired so many people to play golf. And I am one of the people who just thinks the world of you. And I still think Jack Nicklaus is a better golfer long term. All the majors he's won, but man, you're number 2. And most people think you're number 1. And you got to get some help, buddy. You are a bajillionaire. You need to hire somebody to drive your car from here on out. But I got to tell you, that's a sharp-looking Range Rover. That matte black, that is a sharp-looking Range Rover, even on its side. Just saying. Now, let me tell you about the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. Get 3 of them. Save $200. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERIC3, ERICK3. I did not have to use it this weekend. I thought I was going to have to. I had it plugged up and ready to go. You had to use the wood burning on my pizza oven in the backyard because the pilot light for the burners messed up. But nonetheless, I digress. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm, you get 3 of them. And it can kill bacteria and viruses, 99.9% of them. It wipes out particulate in the air, and it's filterless. You don't need a filter subscription. And it eliminates all odors. In fact, there's a money-back guarantee. If it does not eliminate your odors, you can get your money back. See the site for details, and the site is EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERIC3, ERICK, the number 3, no space, and you will be able to save $200, get 3 Eden Pure Thunderstorms upstairs, downstairs, your basement, your travel bag, your RV, wherever you need them. You can plug it into the wall, plug it in with a USB cord, put it in a car, an RV, your basement, your bedroom, wherever you need it to wipe out odors. If it doesn't work, see the site for details of the money-back guarantee. EdenPureDeals.com, discount code ERIC3. They really do work. You'll see it for yourself. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. Full disclosure to all of you, the show notes come out every day as the show goes live, so you have all the links to all the stuff I'm going to talk about and then some. And in the mornings, I normally have some deep dives on political analysis of what's going on in the world, but I make myself every year during Holy Week only write about those topics, the higher order topics. And so I just want you to know, if you want to subscribe this way, all of the morning pieces are accessible to everyone. If you text Eric to 33777, click the first link, you can subscribe. I feel very strongly that I got this platform. I should be able to use it. This Friday, I will do my annual Good Friday show. I will have Doug Wilson of Christ Church up at Moscow, Idaho, is going to join me. Matt Smethers, who is an author and Baptist minister, is going to join me, and Bishop Robert Barron of the Catholic Church will all be joining me for the Good Friday show. For my Catholic listeners and friends, they regularly say, you got to have a Catholic on. And I've had my buddy Stephen Gadberry on from over in Arkansas a couple years ago. They're like, yeah, you get all these Baptists and Presbyterians on and these Reform guys. What about the Catholics? I have remembered you. Bishop Barron's going to do me a solid and help me out. By the way, have you guys, I've got CNBC on right now. Have y'all heard somebody stole 12 tons of Kit Kat bars in Europe? They were on trucks headed from Italy to Poland to meet the Easter supply for Kit Kat bars in Poland, and they've been stolen. Why would anyone steal 12 tons of Kit Kat bars? There was the Pappy Van Winkle theft a couple years ago, and that one I get. But Kit Kat bars, really? It's causing shortages of Kit Kat bars in Eastern Europe, as there are 12 tons of Kit Kat bars gone. Who is eating that many Kit Kat bars? I have no idea. The body positivity movement has struck again, I guess. All right, we have other things that we must talk about. Text Eric to 33777 if you want to get the show notes. All the Good Friday, Holy Week, and Easter messages this week will come out to all of you. Let me bring you up to speed with the Iran situation. So, Israel got a little bit of a PR black eye yesterday. Yesterday it was Palm Sunday. For those of you who aren't familiar with Palm Sunday is the start of Holy Week, and Palm Sunday is the day that Christians believe Jesus went into Jerusalem on a white donkey and people laid palm branches in front of him. Palm Sunday is the start of Holy Week. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem came within about 1,500 feet of being struck by an Iranian missile a couple of weeks ago. And the Israelis have, as a result, shut down all worship services for Jews, Christians, Muslims. It is hard for you to be able to go to worship in Israel right now because of the war. Well, a police officer decided that he would prevent the Catholic Cardinal Pizzaballa, which is the greatest name of an Italian ever, Pizzaballa. He is the Italian cardinal. He is the Catholic representative for the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is divided between the Orthodox and the Catholics and others, and he was not allowed to go worship. It became an international incident. Ambassador Mike Huckabee was upset about it, and it turns out that the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, had to intervene, and it turns out it was actually a police officer in Jerusalem who had taken the prohibitions on mass gatherings and interpreted it as the cardinal and a handful of people were not allowed into the church, causing an international incident. Now, the anti-Semites seized on this immediately to claim that, of course, Israel is not protecting the Christians, and we need to have a new crusade, and on and on and on and on. It was a police officer, as I understand it, who made the call based on the Prime Minister's prohibitions on large worship gatherings of any denomination or religion. The Prime Minister's office intervened and apologized to the Cardinal. The President of Israel intervened and apologized. Ambassador Mike Huckabee came out and said he was satisfied that it had been a misunderstanding and it wouldn't happen again. And the Israelis have now committed to special protections for Christians worshiping during Easter, as well as the Jews for Passover. And so this should not happen again. And the Iranians may try to blow everything up this coming Good Friday or Easter. The Iranians may try to blow up the Church of the Holy Sepulchre on Sunday for Easter as in spite of it. But at least people will be able to get in and worship. Now, all that being said, Marco Rubio is now out. He is on TV. He was on this weekend on ABC News. This is the Secretary of State. explaining the situation and, well, how long it's going to take.
First of all, it's important to remember the objectives of this operation from the very beginning. We are destroying Iran's navy. We are destroying their ability to their missile launchers by a significant percentage. We're going to wipe out their defense industrial base, meaning their ability to make new missiles and new drones in the future, because it poses a great threat to the region. This Iran that you're seeing now, this is Iran at its weakest point. Imagine them 2 years from now if they had thousands of more missiles, thousands of more missile launchers and factories to make even more. That was an unacceptable risk. It needed to be addressed, and President Trump is addressing it. Now, they are making threats about controlling the Hormuz Straits in perpetuity, creating a tolling system and the like. That's not going to be allowed to happen. And the president has a number of options available to him if he so chooses to prevent that from happening. Obviously, I'm not going to discuss what those options are, and we're not going to discuss military tactics. The Department of War would be in charge of those things. I'd refer you to them, but obviously they're not going to discuss it with you either. But there is a way forward here to achieve our objectives. We are going to achieve our objectives in a matter of weeks, not months.
Matter of weeks, not months. In Iran, the internet is down still. I will get to that, but they've hacked Kash Patel's personal accounts now. They've started leaking out information about Kash Patel. It's a good time for me to mention Incogni to you, INCOGNI. A lot of the scams that you get on your spam emails and the telemarketer phone calls come from data brokers on the internet. And they get their information because your local governments sell your information. They can even, in some cases, find out what medicines you are on, and then they scam you. And you start getting emails about low-cost medicines that turn out to be scams, or you get the telemarketer phone calls, the extended warranty phone calls, and the like. Incogni goes online, and they send takedown notices to all those websites. They have already taken my information off 324 websites. 324 so far, and they're still at it. Not only do they take it down, they make sure that it stays taken down because they follow up and re-verify that the information is taken down. They can protect your privacy too. Incogni.com/Eric, INCOGNI, Incogni.com/ERICK. Get 60% off when you sign up for Incogni. If they can't find you online, they can't scam you from the internet, and they're not going to do the telemarketer calls. The telemarketing phone calls I've gotten have gone down. My spam has gone down. The scams have been reduced. Even the mail I get, the garbage mail has gone down. Incogni.com/Eric. Incogni, INCOGNI. Incogni.com/Eric. Trey Yingst from Fox News actually has information about Iran shutting down its internet. Iran did it intentionally. And I want to play this clip for you. This is Trey Yingst on Fox News explaining the significance of Iran having shut down its internet. And in fact, the Israelis are now saying that one of the disinformation campaigns related to this is that the Iranians are selling people a bill of goods online. And because there's no internet in Iran, the citizens of Iran aren't regularly able to upload clips to respond and show that what the Iranians are saying is not true. Some people have gotten Starlinks. And if you have a Starlink in Iran, you have access to the internet, and the Iranians are searching for those Wi-Fi signals and killing the people who have the Starlink. So people are only turning them on at certain times of day and night to try to get information out. It's becoming harder and harder to get information out and to the opposition. This is Trey Yingst on Fox.
Israeli officials are sounding the alarm about the internet blackout across Iran that has now reached more than 700 hours. They say it's affecting the world's ability to understand the extent and impact of U.S. and Israeli strikes, and it's also hurting Iranian civilians and their ability to organize internally. I spoke with a senior Israeli intelligence official today about this issue who said in part, quote, "This is a blackout on truth. The regime is hiding reality from its own people. They don't want the Iranian people to see how badly they're getting hit." The official goes on to say, cutting the internet stops people from communicating, from sharing what's really happening, and from organizing. This is significant because we understand that Starlink is being jammed inside of Iran, and so people who previously were able to work around this internet blackout are not able to do so. The Iranian regime has also arrested hundreds of people who are using Starlink terminals, but the official ended by saying something that I think is very important. They said, when this blackout is lifted, the full extent of the damage to the regime will become clear. Guys?
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, hey, listen, it's a real issue here. The Iranian regime is using Western internet access to seed the idea that Iran is doing well. They take advantage of anti-Semites in the West and people who hate Donald Trump to try to tell the Western world that everything is fine. And it's actually not really fine. It's actually really not good for the Iranian regime. We know that the president of the United States is now talking through Pakistan and Turkey with people inside the Iranian regime. So how can it be? In fact, I got this question this morning. How can it be that Iranian leaders are denying we're talking to them when Turkey and Pakistan say we are? It's because the Iranian regime has become so fractured and so segmented that we may be talking to one part of the Iranian government and the other part doesn't know. And we are now working to try to prop up what we perceive to be more reasonable portions of the regime while the others continue to get killed off. The head of the IRGC in charge of keeping Iranian dissidents in Tehran suppressed was killed overnight. That guy's entire job is to mobilize militia forces to shut down people taking to the streets. He's now dead. We continue to soften up the targets necessary for people to be able to take to the streets. We now have Marines in location. They have made their way from Japan and from Los Angeles. We now have the 82nd Airborne in place if the president wishes them to go in. There is a report the president may send in soldiers to take Iran's nuclear enriched uranium or enriched uranium. I don't know. That's a pretty risky option. I don't know that he's going to do that. If I were advising the president, I would say seize the Abu Musa Islands and Larsk Island at the Strait of Hormuz and control the oil supply in and out of the Persian Gulf. You then shut down Iran economically. The president of Iran, notably over the weekend, said that Iran's economy has about 3 weeks left before it completely collapses. The IRGC was unhappy with him saying this. If we control the Strait of Hormuz with the islands in the strait, Iran doesn't get money. Iran shakes down a lot of the vessels that go through the strait and force them to pay the regime to be able to get out. And then Iran also sells its oil out. Who cares about Karg Island? That's where Iran puts its oil on boats. Seal up the Strait of Hormuz from Iranian vessels, and suddenly you've denied them the ability to send their oil out. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia has oil pipeline bypass to the Red Sea, and the United Arab Emirates has a pipeline bypass to the Gulf of Oman. Both are fully functioning, taking about half the supply that would come through the Straits of Hormuz and delivering it elsewhere. The Houthi claim that they're engaged. They launched one missile this weekend, and that's it. It was not exactly a strong show of force for the Houthi. Y'all, we're headed in the right direction here. Things appear to be headed in the right direction. I'm not exactly sure why people are so outraged by what's happening, in large part because we seem to be winning, and people just don't want to believe the president is capable of winning. This is the president aboard Air Force One yesterday.
With them, pretty sure. Whether it's possible, we won't. But we've had regime change, if you look already, because the one regime was decimated, destroyed. They're all dead. The next regime is mostly dead. And the third regime, we're dealing with different people than anybody's dealt with before. It's a whole different group of people. So I would consider that regime change. And frankly, they've been very reasonable. So I think we've had regime change. I mean, you can't do much better than that. The regime that was really bad, really evil was the first one. That was done. The second was appointed, and they're gone. They're all dead, other than one who may have a little life. And then there really are the third group, and the third group of people that seem to be much more reasonable. It truly is regime change. And regime change is an imperative, but I think we have it automatically. I did something today. We just got these in from the architects. A lot of people.
And he moves on to showing people the ballroom at the White House that the New York Times says is very bad, of course. Regime change is happening in Iran, and people just do not want to credit success to Donald Trump. So they have a vested interest in blaming him and talking down what is thus far a successful campaign. May not wind up being completely successful, but right now it is very successful, and we should take the win. Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program, this hour is brought to you by Van Allen Golf. ALLEN, vanallengolf.com. I was supposed to go play golf this weekend and wound up hurting my back and instead spent my time in usually the back massager in my hot tub. But I got my deadlift to 335 pounds. I do want you to know. Then my back decided it didn't like me. Form was fine. My back just didn't like it. But Van Allen Golf, you need to go check them out, vanallengolf.com. One of you also followed the link by texting golf to 33777 to the Golfer's Journal and signing up. I need more of you too, so they'll send me golf balls. vanallengolf.com. Great golf equipment. Now, Chick-fil-A is doing something that I just love. They are going to give away free ice cream to families. If you're dining in at a Chick-fil-A, and you put your phones up. No cell phones are out. No screens, no devices. It's you and your family at dinner at Chick-fil-A with no devices. You get free ice cream. That is, I think, a fantastic family challenge from the fine folks at Chick-fil-A. God bless them. This is what the sign says. Cell phone challenge. Ask a team member for a coupe. Place all your phones in the coupe and enjoy your meal together. After you finish, let a team member know, and everyone at the table will receive an ice cream cone as a reward. Grab a coupe and take the challenge. Essentially, putting your phone away. God bless them. What a great idea at your. This is the Chick-fil-A Townsend place. I'm hoping this spreads nationwide. What a great idea. Now, another great idea is for you to go check out Swiss America at SwissAmerica.com/Eric, SwissAmerica.com/ERICK. If you do this, Chick-fil-A, not Chick-fil-A, Swiss America. Chick-fil-A on my brain now. Swiss America will give you their report, the Secret War on Cash, completely free. SwissAmerica.com/Eric. Fill out the form there. While you are there, filling out the form for your free report, they have a News and Views tab. You can be ahead of the game, more informed, and ahead of your neighbors when it comes to understanding how markets are affecting precious metals, commodity prices, how the BRIC nations are affecting things. Stay ahead of the world economy with the folks at Swiss America at SwissAmerica.com/Eric. You can get your precious metal IRA set up if you want one of those. I have bought gold coins for Swiss America. I got some gorgeous gold coins. I need to put them on Instagram. I mean, they are. I just decided, with gold prices probably going up, I needed to, and I got in on the ground floor before the gold prices spiked. And thanks to Swiss America, they made it very easy. SwissAmerica.com/Eric. SwissAmerica.com/ERICK. If nothing else, what do you have to lose? Get the free report, The Secret War on Cash. SwissAmerica.com/Eric.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience in their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's LIBSYN, ads.com today.